I wanted to make a quick video because the masterclass, the Get Real World UX Experience Masterclass, is starting next Wednesday at 9 a.m. And I would love to see as many of you there as can possibly fit in my Zoom room. Let's be real. I also wanted to make sure that you know who this masterclass is for. And this masterclass, I know we're supposed to niche down. It's like super specific, but it's kind of for everyone. It's for everyone who has not yet gotten their real first experience in the world of UX, but it's also for people who might already have a little bit of experience and want to gain confidence. So I want to read you an email from someone who reached out to say, hey, is this masterclass actually for me? And I do think it is. So they said, hey, Maigen, I'm interested in signing up for the Freelancer Masterclass series. In addition to my own freelance aspirations, I'm curious to know if the takeaways from the workshop can be applied to companies of all sizes, particularly large organizations. The past week, a former coworker from a company with 1,000 to 5,000 employees reached out to me about a potential freelance opportunity, and I'm wondering if the skills I learned in the masterclass could be valuable in that context. Yes, and very much yes. So I replied back and I said, oh my God, hi, thank you so much for reaching out. And I said, three things that I shared that I think that early career designers can do when they join a large organization. And a few of those things from the masterclass specifically can be done. So I think these skills are very applicable to working as a staff designer for a larger organization. All websites, all businesses need to meet at least a minimum level of accessibility, or they risk being sued for thousands of dollars. So this isn't just government agency websites, which I know I talk about a lot, but like any kind of website can be sued by any user who has disabilities and cannot access that website. So what I responded with were, I think there are three things that an early career designer can do when joining a new organization that will really just like set them up. It'll set them up for success, and it'll also kind of elevate them in that company. Okay, so you can provide immediate value for a company that hires you by doing three things. In your first 30 days, I think you should create a sitemap. Even if a sitemap has already been created, you can 99% of the time guarantee that it has not been updated recently. You should click through every possible path, the features, the different pages of the website or application, and then map it out. Map it out in FigJam with sticky notes or in Miro with shapes. Like, it doesn't really matter how you do it, just map it out. Love to use Whimsical because you don't have to pay for it. You get a certain number of objects on the screen, and it's a really solid way to do a sitemap. This gets you familiar with the entire website, the entire product, the entire application, and it also gets you familiar with the brand itself. Like, what are they about and what are the user paths? It also helps you build what I would call your mental schema. It builds a mental map in your mind so you understand, oh, wait, I've seen that somewhere before. I absolutely can re-find that information, and I'm already learning my product a lot better than someone who's just like, I guess I'm just going to sit here and wait for meetings to show up on my calendar. It builds your knowledge database, your brain, and it's honestly guaranteed to help you ask better questions in your first few meetings with people. This already makes you look less like a junior and far more like a mid-career, somebody who already knows how to handle themselves in a professional environment. So like, that's step number one. When we get to the masterclass, we're going to be talking about a website accessibility and usability evaluation. Well, you're going to learn exactly how to do that. And in your first 60 days, I think it's totally appropriate for you to do a website usability and accessibility evaluation on one feature or one user flow, or even just one complex page of your website or application. I even tell you that you should do a slide deck. Prepare a slide deck just like you would if you were freelancing and you were presenting to a stakeholder the accessibility issues that you find on their website. Present it to your team. This demonstrates that you're proactive, you're good at communication, you're good at pulling out the insights and only communicating what's necessary. And it also demonstrates that you have accessibility knowledge, which most of your coworkers do not. Most people have not focused on accessibility as a skill set, and you are demonstrating the value that you bring to your team. This is a huge asset in a crowded market of candidates, but also once you've been hired, it's a huge asset to your company. All right. And then the third thing that I think you should do in your first 30, 60, 90 days, I want you to set up a coffee chat, a little Zoom date with absolutely everyone you might interact with, even folks that are not even remotely on your team. And I mean that in a sarcastic remotely, not literally remotely. So set up a coffee date in person if you can. That's awesome. If you have social anxiety and that doesn't feel great, you can do it on Zoom. Okay. So every single person you work with. Now, I mean, not just your immediate team, not just your product managers, not just your developers, although all of those people should also be on your coffee date list. And you can set up a few a week. Your first couple of weeks, you're usually not really doing a lot of work because you're still getting to know the product and your role. You're in meetings to learn. Set up some follow-up meetings after these coffee dates, and anyone that is in these meetings with you is someone who can provide you some insight. Get to know some of your customer service people, some of your marketing people, some of your sales people, your operations folks, people that make IT run, people that got your computer set up. Most people don't set up coffee dates with them, but those are your first line of defense folks when it comes to, I can't make this program work. Oh my gosh, what do I do? So get to know these people. These are going to be people that you build relationships with. It is a way easier job when we get to know the folks that are around us, not just our immediate team. You're also going to get past your fear of speaking with new humans when you proactively set up these calls. It's not going to be weird when you see them on a call in 6 months and they're like, oh, I didn't even know you existed. No, get to know everybody that you can. Become that person that's really excited to get to know people. Even if you don't see them for another year because you're not really in the same circles, that's okay. When you get together for your annual retreat, you're going to at least have some familiar faces and go, okay, I know who I can go sit with, in the lunchroom. This time you're interviewing them in a fun way. So bring some icebreaker questions, silly questions you find online. It doesn't have to be super deep. Do you have any pets? What's your favorite color? What's your favorite thing to do on the weekends? Tell me more about you. Just make it not like an interview. It's just a coffee date. It's just to get to know you. All right, so I think that what you're going to learn in this masterclass is applicable for the rest of your career. I do also believe very strongly that this training will help you stand out in your career. You're going to feel confident putting accessibility knowledge on your resume and on your LinkedIn profile and on your portfolio. Most of your competition for jobs right now is not focused on accessibility. More and more laws are being passed that require websites to be accessible, and more lawsuits are happening that are kind of forcing people's hands into making their websites more accessible. This is only going to increase. Currently, we've got 10,000-ish people a day turning 65 and older. This is an entire cohort of Americans, and I'm specifically speaking to my knowledge of the American UX job market. They are becoming less and less abled every single day, and it's our job to make the web accessible to them. More organizations, not fewer, are going to need designers and developers with accessibility knowledge going forward. People who understand accessibility and can design and build websites and apps that meet accessibility requirements are going to be necessary in the next 5 years alone than any other time in history, and we'll probably even see more growth after that. I think this masterclass is going to give you the confidence and the skills to do any freelance work, as well as bring value to any company who hires you after that. Thank you so much for reaching out with your question. If anyone else has a question as well, please let me know. I'm super excited to help you, and hopefully I will see you in the Get Real World Experience Freelancing Masterclass with TechFleet.